Okay, you can all hear me. Good. Right, I'm the warm-up act, and I have precisely half an hour, I've been told, unless things start to go wrong with painting, in which case they'll go. And I have to do some more. Right. Introductions first. I'm David Kempsell. I'm the Managing Director of Wow Saddles and the designer, or co-designer, along with my partner, wherever she is, she's gone. We got into the design of equestrian equipment about 20 years ago, and we were one of the first people to use electronic testing equipment for developing systems for saddles, mainly the gear system, and then our own version of our saddles. So that's a bit about me. This is Anna. Anna works a lot. We only literally met yesterday. And Sparky, who's hopefully doesn't live up to his name today. And finally, this is Nick Skeleton. Now Nick is going to be demonstrating to you, or hopefully making it more obvious what we're talking about with the musculature of the horse and how the horse develops to carry us and how our horses will become more uphill. Okay, so without further ado, first of all we're going to talk about it using Nick, then we're going to show you how to identify asymmetry in your horse, and then we're going to talk about asymmetry in the rider, and then we're going to put the rider on the saddle, and we're going to show you how, and prove to you, or rather prove to Anna, because it'll be a bit difficult for you to actually physically see this, but if you want to experience it afterwards, come and sit on the saddle. And then finally, I'm going to give you some tips to go away and try underneath your saddles to experiment with the asymmetry and see if you can improve your horse's way of going. Okay, I recognise a few faces. Some of you may well have heard this talk before, but this is slightly different with this guy. Nick has got some indicators here. Now, these are sitting on the back of the scapulars. Now, at the moment, hopefully, whether you're right down there, or whether you're here, or whether down there, you should see that these balls on the top are level and symmetrical, yes? Okay, and then you've got these two indicators here. This is at the lumbar thoracic junction, and this will show you how the spine twists. Now, I've deliberately done it at just here. Obviously, we know the horse articulates through the lumbar, but if you like, it will emphasise the twist there is between lumbar and thorax. Let's dispel something that I get asked all the time about how a horse lifts through the rib cage. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't. What happens is it will articulate at the lumbar, and the thoracic sling, serratus group of muscles, will also tighten and shorten and pull up this barrel in between the lumbar and the cervical, but nothing really articulates, or not to any great extent, not enough to affect saddle fit. So I do not agree with bridging, for instance, on a horse. Okay, so this rigid barrel is basically held in place by the serratus group of muscles. Now what we've got here is a youngster. A youngster that has got its withers almost level with the top of its scapulars. A bit, you might describe, mutton with it. And we start to put it into work, and as it goes into work, we will find that the muscle group shortens and tightens, and up in between the forelimbs comes the withers. It grows a wither. It grows nothing. What's happening is the serratus group of muscles is shortening, tightening, and pulling everything up in between the forelimbs. So now we have a distinct difference between the top of the scapula and the rib cage, or the top of the withers. But that's not the only thing that happens. As the thoracic sleeve shortens and tightens, the scapulars actually rotate backwards. And what this will do is effectively shorten the area that you have available for your saddle. Because the more correctly your horse works through the shoulder, the more those scapulars will rotate down and backwards. As they rotate down and backwards, the appearance of the shoulders, because the scapula is closer to the rib cage, will appear smaller. So a smaller shoulder is actually a stronger shoulder. Big, bulbous looking shoulders, yes, generally the thoracic sling is weaker and therefore the scapulars are further away from the rib cage. Right, let's put Nick back, because that's what we want to happen. We want symmetry. 95% of you in the room sit to the right. We proved this. We did 160 pressure tests at badminton. And when we reached 100, I was very pleased to see 95 people sat right, 4 people sat left, and 1 person sat symmetrical. And that person did a hell of a lot of Pilates. Right, so as the majority sits to the right, let's talk about the right that sits to the right. If you sit to the right, you're going to ask this horse to work harder with its right hind. Quite obvious, really. You're the rucksack on this horse's back. It's loading you, so you're going to use your right hind. You're going to use your left lumbar. You're going to use your right thorax. You're going to use your left fore. I've just shown you what happens when a horse grows the wither. Now with an asymmetrical rider on, that is now conditioning the serratus scrotum muscles more on the left than on the right. This happens. The withers come up, and as it comes up, now look at the 2 orange balls. Okay? They have moved. Do you want me to do that again? Just in time. So here we go. They come up and we start to get more twist. And that twist will be emphasised at the lumbar-thoracic junction. The rib cage is effectively rolled to the right. Now, also, as I said to you, you will now have, just make sure, yeah, scapula on the left is also pulled down and back more. So what we can see a lot of the time is that the scapula on the left side, 95% of the horses that we own, will be left side, will be further back and further down and will appear smaller because it's the stronger shoulder. And hopefully, can you guys over there see that they are not level? And over there, yes? Good, it's working. So, we now have a rib cage that's still rolled to the right, not as much, taking some of that out because the scapula has dropped as the thoracic sling shortened, but we still have a difference. We have a left shoulder that's also more invasive and further back. How many of you look down when you're sitting on your saddle and go, oh, look at that right shoulder, it's got loads of room there, and that left is tight. Oh, it's tight on that left shoulder. Newsflash, should be. The one on the right is the wrong one. The one that's loose and floppy is the wrong one. It should be further back. It should be touching your saddle. Your saddle should be up against the shoulder. Okay? Not on it, but it should definitely be 1 inch. If you palpate the back of the scapula, it should be sitting 1 inch onto that scapula. So, We started all this process off by me saying, you sit to the right. You can see the process the horse goes through of developing the muscle and rolling the ribcage to the right. QED, horses do not develop muscle to carry riders. Horses develop muscle to eject riders. You have to sit in the middle of your horse. Lateral is actually more important than front to back balance, because then your horse will develop symmetry. Now we're going to talk about the horse, Anna and Sparky. Right, if you can manage to get in between that saddle horse and the horse, it would be great. Nick can hold your ruck. Right, here you come. Okay, now what I'm going to do, a bit of interaction with Anna. Now, we met yesterday, didn't we, for the first time? What was the second thing I said to you?
That I said to the right.
Yes, and then?
You go better on the right.
In which right? In which gate? No. Right. If you sit to the right, effectively you are asking your horse in trot to bend around your inside leg, yes? And the propulsion leg for trot is inside hind. So, he will bend. Now, let's define this. Bend, I'm not talking about his neck, I'm talking about his body. I'm talking about his ability to bend around. He might actually go around with his head out to the left slightly, but he will bend his body and respond much easier to an inside right leg. Left lead canter will have more energy because the propulsion leg for canter is the right hind. Left lead canter, right hind, outside hind leg. But it will lack balance. He will fall in, and you will continually use your inside leg to keep the horse out of the circle. So you might describe your horse as better to the right, full stop, because you prefer the right lead canter because it's better balanced. Your lateral work will be better to the left. If he's jumping, generally he will push off harder with his left hind. He will push off harder with his right hind, and he will push himself towards the left. He may drift left through bigger jumps. Ringing any bells for anyone? Right. So, which came first? The rider or the horse? Did the rider cause the asymmetry? It's interesting. If you look at a lot of young horses, who starts horses? Anyone in here that's starting horses? Do you generally find that a youngster, when you first back it, it actually seems to trot better left and gives you a right lead canter much easier than a left lead canter initially? You probably haven't even thought about it. Think about it next time. Generally, horses, when they haven't been humanised, yes, will prefer left trot, right canter. However, we sit on them, we condition them by taking them to the gymnasium, and every weight they carry sits to the right more than the left. We condition them to be strong with the right hind and the left foot. Okay? So, how do we identify this? Right, this is where Anna needs to. Have we got a horse holder? Right. Because I want you all to do this with your horses. Now, you should have got a WOW bag. If you haven't, get one, because in it is basically this talk all summarised for you. So you don't have to remember what I'm talking about. You can go back and you can look at your horses and you can see what it's all about. You do need a reasonably square horse. You're a show horse apparently, so you can do square. Except when you're doing it for me, yeah. Okay, right. First thing I want you to do, stand behind me. Now we've got a horse. Little legs. Stand behind me and look at those shoulders. Which one's the more bulbous? Right shoulder is more bulbous. If he's a right hind drive horse, yes, He will be stronger in his left forelimb, yeah, because it goes in the diagonal. So his weaker shoulder is his bigger shoulder. So be the right. The right. The other right. Okay. First thing to do. Second thing, bring the box, put it here. Stand up box. Look down on his withers, or try and palpate the back of the scapula and see which one is furthest back. Now it's furthest back that is the most important. Don't worry about, sometimes you can have a horse that's got a more bulbous shoulder, but the scapula is still further back. You should find left. Good. Correct. Thank God for that. Next, feel his bum. And you feel his bum from the SI joint out like this. And you're going to build the consistency of the muscle. Yeah? Which one's going to be firmer? The right one. Because the right one should feel tighter. Because that's the one that's doing more work. Congratulations, you've made your horse asymmetric. And I can tell her that because, and she'll back me up on this, we met over there, no horse. She was standing there like this. And I said, just stand up straight for me. Your horse does this. She went, oh.
I didn't want to come.
And your horse is going to look like this. And then we went and looked at the horse. Sure enough, he was. It's not me being a smart ass, it's common sense. If you don't send your horse symmetrically, you will develop your muscles asymmetrically. Okay. Right, so we will need him in a second. Now we're going to talk about you. Yeah, you can walk around. Just don't go too far. Right. Now, have a seat, man. Nick can hold this off. Come to use as a clothes horse. I'm not putting him in the bedroom. Oh! I told you, horses have developed to eject you, not carry you. Are you firm enough? Right, okay. Oh, you're sitting comfortably, man. Right, what we're going to do, we're going to play silly buggers with you first. We're going to put you in all the wrong positions. You're not going to hold on to your horse's mouth, so you don't hold on to the front of the saddle. What we're going to do is we're going to put you in all the wrong positions first. So what we're going to do is unbalance you. We're going to shove you right over this horse's neck. Okay. Now we know in this position, now you think you've moved miles, you probably moved less than a centimetre at the back. And this is another thing I want to emphasise. Saddle balance is crucial. It is really important. Not dirty grey geyser pads. We're talking very thin amounts of shilling that you require. Right, I've done this because I want to sensitise you. So what I've done, I've shoved you right forward so it feels really awful. You have to experience all the bad before you know where the good is. As you come back, you're going to find a better position. Then you will lose it. The instant you lose it, your stomach muscles tighten. The next thing you do is you tighten your buttocks because you don't want to fall out the back of the saddle. And you do that involuntarily. We're all made of the same stuff. Definition of riding, not falling off. We will all do the same things to try and sit on our horse. So, where is the correct position? Look forward, look in that video camera, and we're going to move you forward, and I'm waiting for you to nod there. You've just gone. Right, you were on the cusp, so I'll bring you back a little bit. There, now you feel as if the saddle just supports you sitting there. We don't do this on a horse stand, because a horse, as it moves, when it engages its croup and it lifts through the lumbar, the attitude of the back, yes, tips her forward. So we actually want to balance saddles on a moving horse at trot. We want her rising to be up and down, not forward or not back. Yeah? It should be up and down. It should be minimal. It should be almost like I can stick a £20 note underneath your backside and you'll be able to keep it there. Because you should almost not rise. Right. Now we get to the bit. Now, You guys are going to have to back me up on this. Look at the right shoulder. Right shoulder's lower, yes? And it's also further back, yes? She's like exaggerated this, okay? You sit to the right. You are sitting on your left seat bone. That doesn't make sense, does it? You sit to the right, but you're sitting on the left seat bone. She's probably got, if for no other reason, a longer right leg. Most of you would kick a football or somebody's backside with your right leg. Yes? If your right leg's dominant, easy way, stand up square, get somebody to shove you in the back when you're least expecting it. You'll go, if your right leg dominant, you'll save yourself with your right leg. So, if her right leg is longer than her left leg, she doesn't walk with a limp. What happens is the pelvic lobe, the iliac crest, will rotate up and forward on the right and the left. And in doing so, go and have a look at some old saddles, somebody that, especially if they've got a bony backside. Go and have a look at the two dents they make in the seat. They will not be straight. And 95% of the time, the dent on the right will be further forward than the dent on the left. Because the iliac crest is rotating up and forward, it's taking the seat bone up and forward with it. So then she sits in the saddle, her left seat bone hits, donk. Now her head is over here. Definition of riding, not falling off. What's the first thing she does? Adductor muscle on the left will tighten and shorten. Yes? You can't use your adductor muscle without your calf muscle. Your calf muscles are connected to your Achilles tendon. That's why you don't put enough weight in the left stirrup. So there you're sitting there like that, and now your head is still out here. You've got to put your head in the middle of the horse. You don't do it like this, because that hurts the lumbar. You've got scoliosis in your spine. That's why the right shoulder goes back. Okay? So that's how you're sitting. Now I'm going to prove to you, and this is where we need you, I'm going to prove to you that you are actually sitting on your left seat bone, because there is a gap underneath your right seat bone. I am going to make this saddle come up and meet your seat bone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put more air underneath your right seat bone. First pump, you will not move, but you'll feel it. Second pump, you're going to move. Hello. So that's an just goose tick on the right. And now, there, and now there. How much longer does your left leg feel now? Right, because she was sitting here, and then we went 1, 2, that balanced her. Then we went 3, 4, and now she's the opposite way round. I just forced her to sit to the left. The left adductor muscle relaxes, the leg drops. The right adductor muscle goes, hang on, I'm falling off the left. I'll tighten up. Right regulation. Feels uncomfortable for you, doesn't it?
Yeah,
How many of you have gone to the continent and hired a car? Sit in a car the opposite way round, even though the pedals are in the line, good God, it feels awful. You drive like a blind old age pensioner for the first 10 minutes because you just can't get a handle on it. Right, bring you back. Better? Feel both seat bones now? Hang on, I've probably gone too far. It does come out quick. Right. That's what a 3-point seat will feel like. I guarantee most of you don't know what a 3-point seat is because you haven't actually sat in it. It is quite terrifying. You've only got to stand outside an arena at a showground and watch people go around. The more you watch, the more you go, oh my God. Right, now, look, we're almost on time. Now we're going to have a look at your tag. Here you go. Right, can't believe I'm on time. Where is it? She sits to the right. So, if she's sitting to the right, and I said she's using the left adductor muscle to hold herself in position, the leg on the left, you would describe it as your weakest leg. Oh, I'm weak on the left. that's actually doing all the work. It's holding you on. But the problem is, you tighten the abductor muscle, you can't then swing the leg around and aid the horse. So it's only at the bottom of the flap that we will see any wear. There's a triangle there. But the rest of it is absolutely, you can verify that. Yes, you see that bit? Right light. You look on the right, the wear pattern is totally different. On the right, we have a triangle that comes all the way up to the top. Because she's loose, but she can move her leg. Doesn't matter where she puts her right leg, because it's her left leg that's stopping her falling off. Your horses learn aids for the left and the right, and they are different. The more you sit in the middle of your horse, the more you will find that the horse is, well, one, able to do its job much easier, yes, but also it's much easier to train. Because you're putting your legs in the same place and you're telling the same thing. It's very subtle, but my God, it does work. Okay. Need horsey, please. Right. Next thing I want us to look at, because I'm glad I didn't know what horse I was going to get. Yeah. I didn't know what horse I was actually going to get, so I was really pleased when I saw him. Because being a bit of a chunky monkey, you all know that. Okay, if we look at the base of the wither here, I'm going to come round. We look at the base of the wither here. What you should do to your horse, carefully, 2 thumbs, put them here, and draw up. Draw up towards the wither. Gently at first, okay? Firmer until you get a reaction. See how thick this musculature actually is. Yeah, at this point here. Base of the wither. He is a chunky monkey. He's like this. So his musculature went down. I'm digging my thumbs in. You're going to say, well, my horse, I don't want my horse to do that. What you're actually doing is just getting a muscle reflex, a muscle action. That will be the same as when he's using his top line, especially when he is bending correctly through the neck and the body, yes, and using his shoulders correctly. The trapezius, which lifts the scapula, latissimus, which will pull the forelimb back. Apologies now to any therapists in the room that are going to say it's not there. Trapezius, edge of latissimus coming through, end of rhomboideus, neck muscle, rhomboideus, trapezius for the shoulder blade, latissimus for the forelimb action. Track your horse at that point there, no lift, no bend, and no stride length. So, we've got a musculature like this, a conventional saddle, not saying who, because it's not a bad saddle, this fits lovely, does its job. But look at the width. Look at the width here, look at the width here. Easy way to find out whether it's not doing its job or, got to be careful, that it could be better, yes? Run your hands down through those panels, put them there, and find a hole. And that hole will be directly behind the stirrup bar, because your stirrup bar sits there, and then the panel behind it, yes, goes into, basically it's got no support behind that stirrup bar. So those muscles are pushing out like this into the panel, and those stirrup bars are fixed, obviously, like a couple of fingers, and they say, right, well, the flocking underneath me is staying where it is, but all this flocking behind, it's moved and migrated out of the way. And you have got 2 holes there. You told me you just had this reflocked 2 months ago. 2 dirty grey holes. And actually, more, guess what? On the left than on the right. If any of you want to feel this, we have got this. We'll have this on our stand for a little while. I'm not allowed to keep it for too long now, but we've got this on the stand for a little while, so if any of you want to have a look in a break, you can do so. My God, Lastly, trainers. Any trainers in the room? Very interested in doing clinics and working with you guys. Education is the best way. I am not saying that just to sell sales, you wouldn't say that. Education is great because horse welfare and getting better, more competitive horses, and more importantly, your training, is improved by the fact that your pupils improve much faster if they sit in the middle of their horses. Okay? So, your handouts are in your bags. Please refer to them. Go and have a look at your horses. I would love some feedback. Any of you, please write to us. And if you have any particular difficult ones, then again, let us know. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Sparky.